I never would have thought that out of all the animes, a fishing anime would have a very depressing story. Well, that's exactly what is Negative Positive Angler. An anime that unfortunately didn't really get into many people's attention due to just simply because of the concept that many people thought was just simply going to be characters just throwing the fishing pole into the water and hoping to catch a fish. And while we technically do get that from time to time, that isn't the full story. The story is about what happens when someone who thinks is in rock bottom is always going to stay there and that there's nothing going to happen that can improve or change their life for the better. It's a concept that anybody can really relate to, and even those especially who have had hard times in their life and feel like they can't get right back up, who think with the way things are going, their life is never going to improve and they have reached a point where they came to accept it. And while life isn't always easy and there's always going to be obstacles in our lives that we have to sometimes really push through to overcome it, it doesn't mean that it's not possible. In this anime, we follow the journey of our main character, Tsunehiro Sasaki, in which not only is he in the worst part of his life due to him having a failed college life, but he's also in massive debt because of how he mishandled his money, and because he borrowed money from other people, now he owes those people the money that they gave him, which of course is something that he doesn't have. And as if things couldn't get worse for him, he also comes to find out that he has a disease that at most he has 2 years to live. With things being this bad, Tsunehiro has just basically given up on life. He doesn't change it whatsoever, as how can he change so many things that for him right now are beyond his control. But when he falls into the water after being chased by the people who he owes money to, drowning both literally and figuratively because of the problems that he's facing, he thinks that this is the official end of his life, thinking that this is probably what fate had in store for him and this is something that he should have expected a long time ago. But that's not exactly what happens, as he would then be saved by a group of people who happened to be fishing that night. And here is he will meet people that will really be the change that he needed all this time. He meets people like Hana and Takaki who help him every way through his new path of life. Takaki not only lets Tsunehiro stay at his place after his place was basically demolished, leaving him homeless, but he also manages to get him a job at a part-time in a convenience store, the same convenience store that Hana and the other fishers work at as well. Something that's very unexpected of him because he never believed that this would be the turn of events that will happen in his life. Since all this time he's been so negative, seeing all these positive moments that are happening in what he thinks were the lowest point of his life, for him he finds it really surreal. But that's not the only thing that he would find surprising, as he would then realize that he would also find a hobby that he would actually start to enjoy, and that is fishing. At first, he didn't really understand the concept of fishing, as if he didn't really understand why Hana, Takaki, and the rest of them found fishing so enjoyable. Tsunehiro didn't really understand the true concept of fishing, as for him, fishing was just somebody waiting for who knows how long to catch a fish and to hopefully be able to get a good one and not just waste your time, as he felt that this was just simply something that people would do just to kill time. Not to mention that most of the group that he encountered were mostly young, and he found it hard to believe that young people will be into fishing, as for the most part this type of hobby many people consider as a hobby that a person much more older would enjoy. But despite his doubts, thinking that he wouldn't really enjoy fishing, he decides to try it out, and of course, no surprise, he doesn't really get it at first, but slowly, once he starts to get taught by Hana and Takaki as to what makes fishing so special, and while it does require a lot of patience, once you get that fish that you've been wanting to catch, the satisfaction of being able to catch that fish makes it all worth it. Something Tsunehiro will find out very quickly, as him catching a fish for the very first time, it really did fill him with joy and the urgency to do it again. And that's where he starts to really understand the joy of fishing and understand that it isn't just something that people do just to kill time. It's something that makes them have a peace in their mind, but while also hoping to be able to catch a fish that they could later on take it as a prize for being able to catch it at all. And later on, we start to see that Tsunehiro starts to actually take the fishing part seriously, as he now starts to research as to what's the best way to throw a rod, what hook he should use, what kind of bait he should use, but also learning about the different kinds of fish that are in the sea. As because there's a huge body of water, it's no surprise that there's not only one type of fish but several types of fishes, and the way to catch them, they're all very different, and some are more hard to catch than the others. But the joy of fishing isn't only something that Tsunehiro starts to find out or experience. He also starts to realize that the group of people that he now considers friends and people that he's fine being with, they too also are dealing with their own struggles. It isn't just him with his own set of problems that he's facing. Everyone else also has things that they are facing. Like when he comes to find out that Hana is basically living all on her own after her parents divorced, and while she doesn't really seem to have a bad relationship with her parents, it does seem that she just wanted to be her own self and be independent and live the life that she wanted to live. And then there's the manager, who's also a fisher himself, and he not only was divorced, but he also has a son as well. And due to him not being able to see his son for too much time, of course things are very awkward, seeing firsthand that sometimes even relationships that are supposed to be close aren't always the case. But if there's one thing these two have in common, is that despite their circumstances, they are still able to move forward. Sure, things aren't always going to be great, and they may be feeling some things inside that they don't really show it to the people around them, but they're still able to move on, and they're still able to at least find the joy in life, especially with their hobby, which is fishing. That is something that Tsunehiro wasn't able to fully understand until that moment. How can these people possibly be able to move forward when their life isn't fully perfect and there's things going on that he wouldn't be surprised would bring them down? But he starts to realize once again, when he starts to see that just because things are bad right now, it doesn't mean it's going to be bad forever. Like I mentioned earlier with the manager and his relationship with his son, while things weren't off to a great start, at the end of it, he and his son were able to get along very well, and the son even admitting that he wanted to spend more time with his father, especially during fishing, as he knows that this is something that his father really likes and it's something that can make the bond between them stronger. But despite seeing all this, Tsunehiro is still not able to fully understand it, which is why when he's still hanging out with all of them and he's creating all these very great memories of spending time with people that truly like him and want to spend time with him, he's also in the back of his head worried about how everything is all going to end very soon, as once again, due to his time limit of only 2 years, he's scared what's going to happen with these new relationships, these new friendships that he has. And things don't get better when he just keeps this all to himself. He doesn't really open about his problems to anybody, and at one point, while he tried to be open about it, he wasn't able to fully tell them the truth, and so he just lied, telling them that they were only kidding. But you know, deep down, Tsunehiro wanted to say it to at least somebody as to what they're actually dealing with and what's actually going on. But most likely the thing that he's afraid of is how they will react, and if there's going to be a sudden change in their dynamic. And the last thing that he wants is to be negative and to throw all his problems to them and expecting some sort of solution. That's not what he wants them to have to deal with. And while it does make sense as to why Tsunehiro may feel like this, at the same time, bottling up all these concerns isn't also a solution, as at the end of the day, all he's really doing is just being on a standstill, to the point where he even starts to deny that there's something wrong with him and that as long as he doesn't do anything, that everything's going to be fine because there's nothing to be done since nothing's going to happen to him. But it's very obvious that this line of thinking is just simply him trying to run away from the reality and not see that what's actually going on with him is very serious and that he needs to do something or else it's too late. And somebody that was able to put the pieces together was none other than Takagi. After figuring out what's truly going on, Takagi tries to get Tsunehiro to go to the doctor to get things checked. But of course, Tsunehiro tries to throw a bunch of excuses as to why he can't go to the hospital, once again just showcasing the fear that he has of what's truly going on with him. This of course gets really serious and tense, as Takagi will tell Tsunehiro that all he's really doing is just running away from his problems. But this isn't something Tsunehiro wants to hear from Takagi's mouth, as before this confrontation, Tsunehiro actually encountered one of Takagi's family members, in which he reveals that not only did he run away from home, but he basically cut off contact from his entire family after his brother died. And when his brother passed away, Takagi didn't even bother visiting his grave, which of course shocked Tsunehiro. So when everything was going down, Tsunehiro would use this as a counter argument for Takagi, saying that he can't be the one talking about running away from his problems since he himself is also running away from his problems. This of course makes things even worse, and just when things are about to get even more serious with a fight happening, Tsunehiro reveals to Takagi that at the end of the day, he doesn't really know what Tsunehiro is dealing with. He doesn't know who he is as a person, and just because they were able to spend a few times together, it doesn't mean that he knows everything about him, which of course makes Takagi at a loss for words. But Tsunehiro continues getting really emotional, telling Takagi that all this time he's been scared. The reason why he doesn't want to go to the hospital, the reason why he's been making so many excuses not to make an appointment is because he's just scared at the end of the day. He's scared of what's going to be said to him. He's scared of the actual remaining time that he has, and he doesn't want to hear it any longer. He just doesn't want to be hearing bad news all the time. This leads to Takagi eventually once again running away and leaving Tsunehiro helpless, but also having a fit of rage as all the emotions he's been bottling up has finally let go, fully unleashing everything that he's been holding on, and this leads to him eventually trashing everything around him, once again feeling like he's at his lowest point in his life. But this wouldn't be how things would end, as thankfully in a private conversation between him and Hana, and while Hana was always seen as somebody who was very laid back and always had a habit of teasing Tsunehiro, in these moments she's able to open Tsunehiro's eyes once again, reminding him that while things are not great right now, it doesn't mean that it's going to last forever. Sure, he had a fight with Takagi, but it doesn't mean that he can't talk to him ever again, and it doesn't mean that he can't apologize to him for everything that has happened between them. This makes Tsunehiro realize that he can no longer just be on a standstill. He can no longer be afraid of taking the next step. He has to take the next steps in order to improve his life, but also be able to fix the friendship between him and Takagi. But the thing that he has to do first before he does anything else is be able to overcome his obstacles, and that's exactly what he does, as he decides to not only face his fears by going to the hospital to see what he has to do to get the best treatment, but also figuring out what's the next chapter of his life. And once he's able to do this, he's able to pass the time by fishing, and it's in that moment that he's able to encounter Takagi once again. And even though things at first are awkward, this is where Tsunehiro opens up, telling Takagi that even though they had their fight, he is still grateful for everything that he did to him. He was able to get him back to his feet, something that Takagi didn't have to do. He didn't have to make him live at his place when he was homeless. He didn't have to find him a job. He didn't have to help him pay his debts, but he did, and he did it without anything in return. This will make Takagi finally open up about why he truly left his family and why he's been living alone since then. It's because of what happened with his brother. His brother and him used to have a very strong relationship. He was not only his brother, but in a way he was also his best friend. But when an argument happened between them while his brother was at the hospital, that will be the last time he would see his brother alive, as not long after, his brother would try to escape the hospital, that he was there to treat his illness, and unfortunately would be involved in an accident which will lead to him passing away. And ever since then, it's no surprise that Takagi probably felt the guilt after what happened, thinking that if they hadn't had that argument, his brother would still be alive. And ever since then, it makes sense as to now why Takagi was always determined to help Tsunehiro in his problems. This was his way to forgive himself and to hopefully be able to help somebody else in their problems, as he wasn't there to help with his brother and help him with his problems. And in a way, Tsunehiro probably reminded Takagi of how his brother was, and all those moments between them really reminded him how he spent his time with his brother when he was still alive. But the thing that really broke Takagi in these moments was when Tsunehiro finally revealed to him that Takagi was one of the people that helped him realize that fishing was fun, something that his brother said the same thing. And it's in this moment that finally Takagi was able to let out all his emotions. Everything that he's been holding up, all the guilt that he's been feeling has finally let go. And after realizing that they both have patched things up, this is where Tsunehiro reveals to Takagi that he plans on leaving in order to get the proper treatment for his disease. But he wouldn't be the only person to know, as he would eventually tell the others as well, not only thanking them for everything they've done for him, but during their final conversation between him and Hana, it's very obvious to Hana that Tsunehiro is finally at peace, and it seems like he's become a different person than what he was originally, making the moment between them going their separate ways even more impactful, as you realize that they're all going to have their own lives from now on. But this wouldn't be the ultimate end, as eventually some time has passed and we see that Tsunehiro is still alive, and it seems that things have gotten better for him, but he still enjoys his hobby of fishing. However, this isn't the only thing that has stayed the same, as despite the amount of time that has passed, it seems that nobody has forgotten about him, as we hear in the back his name being called, and it seems that he hasn't forgotten about them, as you can see the smile on his face when he sees them, as he's going to tag along with them, making it very clear that no matter how much time has passed, no one forgot about each other, and it seems that because of this, their friendship is still as strong as ever, thus making the end of Negative Positive Angler more satisfying, as we now finally see a new chapter in Tsunehiro's life, as we no longer see a depressed, unsociable, and scared person anymore. We see somebody who finally has peace in their mind, and is somebody that isn't alone anymore, as he has people that not only helped him, but he has people that are going to be supporting him and stick by him no matter what. And I think that's what really is the beauty of this anime, as we really got to see just a very roller coaster of a journey Tsunehiro went, and that I think something that can be very realistic, as oftentimes life is very up and down. It's very unpredictable, and we don't know what's going to happen to us in the near future. But I think what's important is able to prioritize ourselves and not be afraid to take the next step, but also see how you should cherish the people that you make friends with and helped you when you were at your toughest time, because it demonstrates that there are going to be good people out there that are going to be there when you're at your lowest, and they're going to be there definitely when you're at your highest. And I think people should check this anime out if you haven't, because it's really something that I wasn't thinking of watching weekly, but based on what I saw, I thought it was worth checking everything out, and I'm so glad I did. And I feel like a lot of people should check this out if you haven't, because it's worth watching it. And with that, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.